Hi, everyone. It's Ramona from A Therapeutic Dose here, letting you know there are some significant issues with my audio track that unfortunately could not be fixed in post. We wanted to post the episode anyway, mostly because it helps us acknowledge that as a new podcast, we were bound to run into technical difficulties at some point, and it just happened to us sooner rather than later. And in the grand scheme of things, what are you going to do? I'm glad we get to cross that stepping stone off the list. Thanks, as always, for listening. And we will be back next week, technical difficulty free. Thanks, everyone. It's time to take A Therapeutic Dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and/or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margee McGee.
Welcome, everybody, to another Therapeutic Dose. I'm Margee McGee, and with me, as always...
Good morning, everybody, or whatever time you're listening to this. Hello, everyone. I'm Ramona Ramirez.
Once again, we are in the Afterglow. Well, kind of. You know why I said Afterglow? Because I fell in love with Travis. Orange County was last night, and the last 5 minutes of that episode, I fell in love with that sweet, sensitive, self-deprecating, darling man.
Yeah,
He was the bright spot in a dark episode.
He definitely came off as extremely grounded and secure and compassionate. Yeah, there have been some blinds here and there around the various Bravo blogs.
No.
So
this is where I'm so naive.
No.
I never read this shit. He's probably like...
They're not loud.
He's probably
They're
a
not
monster.
loud.
But for 5 minutes,
right. They're not
like
loud rumblings. They're not frequent rumblings. Who knows who is sending them on the other side? And yes, I felt the exact same way when I saw him last night. And more will be revealed, but I agree with you.
Yeah, I need to remember it is Orange County. And as you say, Orange County's going to Orange County.
Dude.
So I should do my research before I shower such intense praise.
And Reddit...
It was just in terms of like a mental health moment. He was very grounded. He told her to feel her feelings. He was present with her. And maybe it's just because in the course of the episode, we saw Eddie, who's just a snooze, and Ryan, who's a fucking monstrous, terrible liar.
Yeah,
so maybe by the time the end of the episode came around, I was like, oh my God, I was so starving for a decent human being.
And listen, anything that we read on a Bravo blog or in Reddit where someone comes in with like information like that, you always have to, I also understand that that person might be not telling the truth. So yeah, more will be revealed, but I completely agree. He seemed like a real mensch. Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know what the opposite of a mensch is, but its name is Heather Dubrow. She's fucking... This was, to me, I just wrote down R.I.P. Heather Dubrow.
Wow.
Like, this is it. It's not cute, rich shit anymore. It's tragic. And she started with her, like, Bad Sandy from Grease attempt of being like, let's smoke a joint. And I was like, oh, nothing has sounded less natural coming from anyone's face ever.
Do not get me started.
And then she bullied, I don't remember who she was bullying, but she's like, what's wrong with your lungs? You got a problem with your lungs? What, you can't smoke a joint? I was like,
like she ever smoked a joint before she could get it from her, boutique dispensary, of which...
And yeah. I don't think she got high. I think she let everyone else get high and then tried to like befriend Tamara after she had her in an altered state. I know. Again, I hate Heather Dubrow, so I'm conspiracy theory central when it comes
Welcome
to
to A Therapeutic Dose, everyone. The podcast that begs to be asked, who the fuck is Heather Dubrow in this world? Just kidding.
That is the great question. Until she really just revealed herself as the elitist bitch she is, that's all I kept thinking is like, who are you? Like, you're pretending to smoke a joint. You're desperately trying so hard to make Tamara like you. She's annoying. I was a little sister, so I know what to do to be annoying. And Heather was doing all the things, like getting too close to the person in the morning when they don't want to see you, coming in and lying on their bed and be like, can I borrow that? Do you not like me? Are we not friends? I just was like, you are what happens when you don't work to figure out who you are. You let money define you, and then you are
Completely.
lost,
Completely. And
Heather.
yeah, her insecurity, the veil just keeps falling. It keeps disintegrating in front of our eyes. And I'm real psyched about it. Uh, when we open the episode, we're still in Montana. Um, there's a bunch of recap crap. And then the first scene that really started to, what is it? Get in my craw. I don't know what that saying is. It was a stuck in my
Stuck in your
craw. Okay,
craw.
thank you. Was when we do the
Mm-hmm.
flashback with Emily and Gina at Emily's house, and Emily is wearing a really unfortunate shirt that says Callie York on it. And even though the flashback is from 2019, it took me back 3 years, 4 years from when we first saw it, and it annoyed me just as much, if not more. Irrational, probably, very activated by it. Callie
Fair.
York.
Yeah, I remember
Ugh.
that moment and that fashion moment. Yeah, I didn't
No.
enjoy that
Anyway,
fashion moment.
I that was just my irrational rant. I can see myself talking about that to my therapist though. Like if someone in my real life that I knew, even on the periphery, was wearing a Callie York sweatshirt, I would probably complain to my therapist about it and frame it as a defect versus just a fashion choice. And that just shows you.
Wait, do you know
No,
what it
it just.
is? Do you know what
Do
it
I
is
know what
that
it is
bugs
that bugs
you
me about her Callie York sweatshirt?
about the Cali York
Uh,
sweatshirt in general? Like, what would you say to your
I would,
therapist of
I would
like, this has
say
me
I would
resentful because?
say I'm annoyed by this and it's irrational and I feel like I shouldn't be, but the sweatshirt is dumb and so she must be dumb. I'm just kidding. I'm
That's
just kidding.
fair. You're judging a book by your cover. No, but it's totally fair. That's how I felt. I mean, I first moved to Los Angeles when Von Dutch
Oh,
hats were the
yeah.
thing, whenever that was, like
Yep,
2002
yep,
or
yep.
something, so long ago. But that's how I felt about Von Dutch hats. I couldn't get past my preconceived notion of who a person in that hat was. So anyone who was wearing that hat, I just didn't give a chance. They could have been the most compelling man or woman on the planet, and I had just decided halfway down the block when I spotted their hat that I was going to hate
I
them.
I completely agree because I remember when I don't remember when I first became aware of Von Dutch, but they were um way before the 2000s. They were very I would only see that brand on people that were kind of on the periphery of like skateboard culture or motorcycle culture, like motorcycle clubs. And then when it was co opted by Joe Francis and Paris Hilton and all, right,
Ashton
Aston Kutcher,
Kutcher.
all of those, like when Red Carpet and Us Weekly were having, their heights before we were all compulsively online with iPhones and everything. And we could only get our gossip, Perez Hilton and TMZ and Us Weekly and stuff. It was a vile low point in fashion history with the low rise micro mini denim skirts, the Uggs, the layered shirts, the bad bags. I mean,
Oh my God, you just
I'm so
dropped me right
sorry.
back into the coffee bean on
I
Sunset in
know.
Fairfax in like 2005. No, I love it. I just had like a little moment of like just feeling 20
Uh,
again. And yeah, but yeah, I wore all the low slung shit, but I would always be like, you're wearing Uggs in California. Meanwhile, I'm wearing like something really cheap and tragic, but
the
you know, whatever. That's what you do in
the
your
guilt
20s.
and the guilt and the self judgment I put on myself when I got a pair of Uggs was truly, it was something. I remember when I first.
Well, yeah, it was just contempt before investigation for me because the second I got a pair of Uggs when I went to school in Michigan, I was like, "Oh my God." Like, they're not too hot. They are
Oh,
slippers that are functional and gorgeous and wonderful. It was again just based on absolutely no empirical information, just being a bitch in line at the coffee
No,
bean.
and listen, I get it. I made fun of them all the time. I still make fun of them. The first time you put like a brand new UGG on your foot and you take a step, it feels like you're walking on like a brand new unopened pack of Jet Puff marshmallows. It's just the most comfy, cozy thing ever. And when I first started dating Josh, it wasn't long after I got my first pair of Uggs. And I was like, listen, I need to tell you something. He's like, what? I said, I have a pair of Uggs and I have Britney Spears on my iPod. And if you can't handle it, bye. And then he shared that he had Britney Spears on his iPod. And he did probably make a very restrained joke about my having Uggs because at that point he was still so infatuated that I could have been like, what joke can I make that won't be? Oh, yeah, like I skin puppies, you know. He'd be like, "Oh, that's you might want to look at that, but you're still real cute." I don't know. No, that probably would have been a deal
Hmm.
breaker, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean. Um,
No, and for anyone who doesn't know, Josh was and Ramona, you guys both were like big on the punk scene. So Britney Spears is a
mm,
big, like that's a big
it
vulnerable
is a
reveal
vulnerable
for
reveal.
both of
Yeah,
you.
and that's what I love,
Hmm.
love, love about Gen Z. I love that they don't give a flying fuck about I mean, they do about trends. What young person doesn't? But you know, they have Britney Spears and I, I don't know. I don't know what like a good example of like a young person band is, but
No, but they don't have to. We had to buy albums. We had to invest $15 in one album, and they have this, like as we all do, have this wonderful luxury of like listening to a song that you like from any artist. And when you find an artist you love, you dig into their catalog. But like, yeah,
yeah,
I love that. I love that. My niece and nephews who are in their teens like know who Britney Spears is, but also introduce me to, oh no, it's there's some rap collective, and not it's not like Murder Hill, it's Graveyard. I don't know what the fuck it is, but anyways, and they have some good songs.
yeah. They're not
I
no,
sound
you don't.
100.
It's just they don't
I do. I
I
am.
listen, I am too. I mean, very much so. But they're just not beholden to these ridiculous constructs and ideas of what you need to like there's no fucking rules anymore, it feels like, except for
You don't have to
yeah,
categorize
just
yourself
don't
in
be
any
fucking
way.
shitty.
Musically,
Don't be shitty, don't
hmm.
body shame, don't be a man with red flags. And Gen X is like, cool, you know, like listen, yeah, I love it. Gen
Gen
Z, oh my
Z,
God, Gen Z. Did I say Gen X? Oh, we are
you did.
decidedly Gen X, like I've said before,
We have room to grow,
so
room
much
to grow.
room for nurturing and growing to be watered. I
Hmm.
I beg of my fellow Gen X um, generation sharers to please not veer into boomer territory because I see it all too often, and I do not co-sign. We have a lot to learn from Gen
No,
Z, and we have a lot that we can support them. And again, I don't think that growing is ever something that we finish. Expanding our minds, um, learning about things we don't
but you have
understand
to
at
make
first.
but you have
You
to make
do.
an effort. Like that's I think what happens with people who start, entering the AARP demographic is they just get lazy. Life is hard, and after 50 plus years, you've lived a lot of it, and I understand the temptation to get lazy and just be like, I like what I like, I know what I
Yeah,
know, and
exactly,
that's it.
exactly.
But thank God I have young people in my life who like, if I want to have relationships and conversations with them, I have to learn things. And I feel fortunate for
I
that
agree.
because,
I
yeah,
There's no greater example of boomers and listen, hashtag not all boomers, okay? Like I know there are some boomers that don't go hardcore, they don't lean into their boomerness. I'm talking about the ones that are like, well, back in my day, we didn't have to do it, so I don't need to do it now, or, well, what did you think was going to happen if you wore a short skirt? Like, that shit is disgusting, toxic, archaic, wrong in the first place. I don't give a rat's ass if it was like something that you were required by law to think. It's fucked up, and stop it. And
Well, and
it
it's so
is.
limiting. Like your brain is
Mm-hmm.
expansive if you allow it. So yeah, maybe that is what you got when you wore a short skirt 40 years ago. But what if, could you consider the possibility that there could be a different outcome for someone
Right,
wearing a short skirt?
right.
What if you didn't what if you just quietly cat whistled in your head instead of,
Or
whatever.
ask yourself, why am I
I was
why am I objectifying this person on the street? Like, yeah.
And it's fine to appreciate that someone is beautiful and or hot or whatever, but you know, I don't know. It's also a weird thing. I'm realizing I'm walking this back because when I was in my early 20s living in New York City, I, I wanted to be like those Diet Coke ads where you walk by a construction site and everyone goes like boing
Yeah.
yoing yoing whoop whoo and like there were days when it happened and I obviously it was not in therapy at the time because I got a lot of esteem from that. I would be like, "Ooh, that disgusting old pig whistled at me. I must be worth something
Ugh.
today." Sad. Sad. That's
I had very different reactions to I felt like I developed I started, you know, developing breasts and hips at a very like 10, maybe late 9 years old. And so I began being sexualized when I was still playing with Smurfs and eating strawberry shortcake cereal and um, probably had to ask permission to like watch TV still at night, and that was a huge catalyst for um, another part of my eating disorder because I just wanted to look exactly the same from my chest down so that no one would do that. And it didn't work.
Mm.
And it scarred me for a long time. And yeah. Uh, but yes, we were brought up to just completely, like whatever, if the male gaze was approving of us, then what else must we strive for? We have hit it, ladies, and uh,
Mhm.
but we're not there anymore, thank God. I mean,
No,
some
we're
people
not.
are.
We're
Listen,
not.
if you want to see how not to act, wade among the murky, toxic waters of page 6 comments, and you will see the most vile aspect of humanity today. And whenever I'm having a bad day, I remind myself, Ramona, at least you're not someone who comments on page 6 articles because it is dark and terrible. And obviously, I know that, like, what do I expect? It's page 6, it's the New York Post.
And it's the
You're
comments. I'm
right.
sorry, but online
Oh my
comments, I'm
God.
just like
I know.
until the person has the balls to say it, to find me and say it to my face, I just can't. I can't spend too much time investing in it. Of course, it naturally triggers something and it affects me and I focus on everything, any negative comment before I'll give any credence to any positive comment, all that shit. But I just can't stay there because I'm like, I
Oh,
don't know who you
I
are. You
know.
don't
I
know who
know.
you are. You have time to do this. So,
Totally.
yeah,
Totally.
if we meet, may you have the balls to say the same thing to my face.
Look at us. We've covered some pretty topical and important subjects before we're even 20 minutes in. I'm very proud of us. And
This was the Cali
this is
Yorks
thank you. Yes, triggered
sweatshirt
by Callie
section,
York.
the
Thank you,
sweatshirt
Emily
segment.
Simpson, for for spurring on this very lively conversation. And before we continue into this week's episode of New York, I want. Oh my
Orange
God, Orange
County.
County. Jesus, what is it with
There
me?
were promos for New York throughout. Listen, I had insomnia last night. I'm on zero sleep. So the fact that like anytime I can get something right.
But
I'm
after
happy
like
to
insisting last week that
step in.
Mauricio's name was Mario, like I need to, I don't know. But
It's a hallmark of this podcast now is that something will be like flagrantly
great,
wrong and we'll
great.
try to correct it
Love
as
it.
soon as we can.
Perfect. On board with that. Um,
Mhm. Acceptance.
when we first launched this podcast, Margie asked the question, is reality TV trash TV? And no, she answered the question, is reality TV trash TV? I would like to say that yesterday the Emmy nominations came out. Vanderpump Rules nominated for an Emmy. It might not have been the franchise from Bravo that, like one of the how do I phrase this? Like obviously Top Chef and Project Runway they've received Emmy noms, but I don't think anyone expected one of the Housewives franchise or what Vanderpump is, which is an offshoot of a housewife franchise, to ever reach that status. And I am here for it 100%. Kudos, bravo. I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Well, and it's a nomination for like one of the things that reality TV can do best, which is editing. And that particular nomination was for the Scandival pickup episode, and that was pretty miraculous. They shot and edited really compelling television under an enormous amount of pressure, and they
They
fucking
really
knocked it out of
did.
the
They
park,
really knocked it out of the park. And yeah, it's it's wonderful. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
So any reality TV haters, uh stuff it,
they're not
Yeah, I
listening
guess
to
you're right.
this.
Well, tell the reality TV hater in your life to stuff it on behalf of me and Margie.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we're still in Montana, and the first significant scene is again, we're visiting Gina and Heather in the camouflage RTV version of a golf cart. Heather takes Gina's inventory and says, Gina needs therapy. And all I wrote was, bitch, look in the mirror.
Wait, I just want to touch on the sort of overture for Heather's reveal of being an
Oh,
elitist
please.
bitch was when she had her waiter moment.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, I'm only familiar with waiters because I have a wait staff, and these people have rubber
It was,
pants. Ew!" And at that moment, it was in her classic format of like, "Oh, I'm so removed from the salt of the earth type people," and that was the last moment it will have ever been charming because from here on out, uh, yeah, as
no,
you were
she's
saying.
just, oh. Uh, and then we go to, do you have anything else to say about their conversation in the golf cart?
I wrote, oh, golf cart. Oh shit. Oh, I'm so
It's
far ahead of you. I'm
okay.
sorry. I was so bored at the beginning
It
of this
was,
episode. I'm already at the
oh
peach and
yeah.
pit. That's how I was just like, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Great. Heather's a
Heather's a
racist.
racist. Heather's a classist. Heather's
Classist,
elitist.
elitist. Yep.
She's really entrenched in capitalism, and it's all just she's privileged as hell. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I'm
no,
so
Margie, it's
sorry, friend.
fine.
I fully
It's
just like
fine. And then around, yes, and again, we're back in that campfire with the poor women that work on the ranch, cooking them dinner, listening to this inane is stupid, right? Yeah, inane conversation.
mhm.
Uh, then Tamara is in a tent with Taylor, and who else is she talking shit to at this point? Is it Gina? Anyway,
I
she
don't
is
remember. I just remember
revealing to the
subtitles.
women that Ryan has fucked multiple married women. That he fucked multiple married women within the boundaries of the Cut Fitness gym. A
I mean,
gross.
Cut Fitness is a
It
whole
really it
brothel.
really saw a lot of things that it probably didn't want to see. And it made me
I mean, it attracted that
and
crowd.
it made
Like,
me think
yuck.
like, what is it is It's the whole like Javier's quiet woman, Coto de Caso. Are all those people just like what is in the water at Javier's Quiet Woman and in Coto de Caso? Like, why is everyone bored? Is everyone suffering from unprocessed trauma? Because everyone seems real unfulfilled and real toxic. Because if there are people, who are the women agreeing to sleep? Who are the married women agreeing to sleep with Ryan? Oh God, anyway,
They're the people who they are me at age 20 looking for catcalls who never got help.
right.
Because Orange County is just blanketed with people who are desperate for the superficial
Hmm.
to resolve them and make them feel safe and comfortable. And as this show continues to show us, all it does is amplify your insecurities and, you know, yeah. And it just, yeah, relying on your looks is irrelevant because, Jenn has gotten herself a boob job and she stays super fit and it
It
just
doesn't
doesn't
matter.
matter. Like if someone's going to cheat, they're going to cheat. Like
It
it,
doesn't matter.
but if you haven't
Yeah.
learned that at age 50, you're still like,
Oh God.
whatever.
Yeah.
Orange
Orange
County's going
County's
to
going to
Orange
Orange
County.
County, and that crew, they all need significant amounts of group therapy, and they can clearly pay for it. So take the money away from your next car payment or ostentatious handbag buy, put it towards something that really matters. If it's a priority to you, if it's not, stay out of my way. Gross. Um, and then we cut to the women are around the campfire, and that's when I had to rewind it a couple of times to see, okay, was it really Heather that said, let's smoke a joint? And I was like, Josh was saying, he's like, no, I think it's Shannon. I rewound it. I'm all, nope, it's Heather. And
And it
it
was
was
rehearsed.
so
She worked with a vocal coach and an acting coach on it.
completely,
She's like, I'll be going camping. When I go by the fire, I want to do something. I want to feel like a hippie. I want to light a marijuana cigarette in a campfire. Oh, wow. Like, how can I make that believable? Like, you cannot, is how. You
who
cannot.
wants to indulge in some
Ugh.
devil's cabbage with me? It's like she's so contrived, Margie. She acts like she invented cannabis, and I just feel like she needs to stay in her lane. And I say this as someone that my previous history with cannabis was, I don't want to say it was limited, but it was more like, it was I absolutely wanted it there if I was on like a girls trip. I absolutely did. I definitely got more into it and more curious about it when it became legal in the state of California. It is, I believe that cannabis can be an extremely powerful medicine for a lot of people. It is one of the things that I use that can quiet the chatter in my brain when I need it to be quieted. I'm not saying I run from my issues. I'm just saying that if it's 9 o'clock at night and I cannot turn off my brain and I want to just relax and be where I am at that moment, I find that an edible or a puff from my vape pen can really help that. I have also talked about my cannabis use with my therapist and my psychiatrist and my ketamine practitioners and my medical doctors. And especially with my medical doctors, I do it and I don't go, oh, and I use cannabis. I'm like, cannabis. Even if I might still, I still suffer from that, a little bit of stigma about, that cannabis still holds unfairly. Um, it
That's our
is
Gen X.
completely,
That's our Gen
completely,
X work to
absolutely,
unwind. But
absolutely.
yes, yeah.
And, but uh, I have also found that at times it makes me a better parent. Between the hours of, uh, you know, 6 and bedtime, that time is completely about my child, feeding my child, bathing my child, reading to my child. And it's also, and the things like brushing teeth, getting into PJs. And it's a routine that it has very sweet aspects to it. And it's also something that, and this is a Ramona issue. This is just me. And these are residual, they, my childhood colors my current state. And when I was a child in my house, I didn't have a say in anything. I wasn't really allowed an opinion on anything. I had no agency. So as an adult, when the aspects of motherhood require my uh, my attention and for me to be a present person in my son's life, sometimes it can trigger that feeling for me. Like, where am I in all of this mundane stuff? I am being erased. And I'm aware of it. And I work so hard on this with my practitioners, all of them, all of them, including my medical doctor. Like, if they ask me what's stressful, for me, I did not know I even had these issues until I became a parent. There was no way for me to really know the extent of it until I became a parent. And if I have a little bit of cannabis before I start the other stuff, it quiets my things. It doesn't stuff them down. I acknowledge that it's there, but it quiets it. And I am a present, loving parent to my child in those hours that make me want to pull my hair out in, on certain days. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like with any medication or treatment used properly, I always say it's just like a rack focus, like where something devastating or destructive had been in the foreground, the camera just switches its focus to the thing in the background, which is like what's joyful or
Right.
what's working or so it just sounds like, yeah, it has that effect of being like, there I'm not a mom, but I hear lots of moms express what you're talking about, that your whole identity gets swallowed up into raising a dependent human being. It can't not be in lots of ways. But I lost my train of
No,
thought.
I hear you. I
That's
hear you. And
insomnia.
I don't want to be just this, okay, well, it's 7:15. Why aren't we in the bath? Okay, it's 8:15. We have 15 minutes till lights out and we still need to read, but it's just I I want to end the day with him in a loving way where he feels cherished and cuddled, and it helps me do that. So, but Heather, it just feels like it's performative. It's performative cannabis use. It's performative. I mean, like no one else was talking about cannabis, at least what they showed us, as much as Heather was. And oh, and then later, you didn't like my joint? You didn't like my joint? Like, bitch, calm the fuck down. I just
It's just so entirely inauthentic. Like, I dated an older gentleman for a while who was heavily involved in the drug scene, and I got to try a lot of things. I'm grateful for that relationship. But he smoked all kinds of weed and it was completely authentic, like it only made sense. Every piece of paraphernalia, every moment of excitement he had about a new strand,
a new strain.
whatever.
Hmm.
Heather strain, fuck.
Listen, it's okay. Yeah.
It's been a while. I haven't, but Heather, just nothing about it is authentic. Like I could take an interest in this ex's like drug interest because he was so interested. He was so passionate about it. So it swept me up and I got to learn things. But Heather, I'm just like, shut up. You're just like reading a bad, dumb script. And again, that's why I just like plowed through the beginning of this episode. I was like, I don't care. I don't believe you.
Oh
This
yeah.
is
Yeah.
stupid. I'm glad you're not
Yeah.
my friends.
Yeah. You were right. They went back to the villa. They're like, "Who said it? I'm not sleeping outside. Are we sleeping? Are we sleeping outside?" Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and we got a nice shot of Jen's, acrylic heels. I was like,
That
they're
was
not
just
sleeping in the
wild. It was
sun.
wild. Uh, at this point in the episode, I when they're showing us the little montage of them getting high back at the villa, um, or the after effects of them being high, I did think it was cute. Like I can relate to that. Like when everyone at the Palm Springs weekend is high and we're all giggling. It's like it's fun, it's bonding. But I wrote down is like, do I need couples counseling with Heather fucking Dubrow because she just is so annoying, and then I asked myself, like is it something about me or is she just inherently annoying and that's it, period, end of sentence? Like, do I need to go deep?
I think there's some pretty obvious evidence to her being a difficult friend. So I don't know how deep you need to dig into
Okay.
that. But yeah, no, I thought the stone sequence was cute. I didn't think we needed all the effects on it. I was
Oh, I
like,
know.
ugh, because to me, I think it's more fun just to watch people
Yeah.
stoned because it is like it's slow and hilarious and important. And like, I
Yeah.
love that element. And that they sort of like made it like
I
groovy
know.
70s,
Oh,
whatever. It's like Heather
God.
edited it. She's, she probably put that fucking effect on. But, anyways.
So the morning after they have their fireside cannabis fueled night is they split off into two groups and do their Montana activities. Half of them go white water river rafting, and the other half go fly fishing. Um, I personally, if I had that choice, it would be no question. I love to white water raft. I've done it. I've done it in class 4 rapids. It's terrifying and also fun, and I would love to do it again. Fly fishing, I can live without. But yes, this is the infamous scene in the episode where Heather responds to the man who is saying, "Okay, let's put on our waders," or I brought waders for you. And she's like, "Waders? Are they cute? Where are they?" And then in her little confessional, she's like, "Well, the Montana guy needs to work on his enunciation. It's waiters." And then I found myself going, I said waiters to myself. I'm all, okay. Um, oh, the waiters are working extra hard tonight. Oh, I need to put some waiters on before I go in the water. I'm like, nope, there's no difference. It's a fucking homophone, bitch. And you are so gross.
Yeah, and she would just use it as a chance to like slam the
Right.
Montana education system. Like it was just
It
so
was so gross.
unnecessary and not funny.
Yeah.
If it had been like witty or
Oh my
smart or
God.
pointed or interesting, there would be a place for it. But it was just her being a bitch. I think it's one of those things where she was either embarrassed or thought it was more cute than it was, and then took it too far because she's rich and out of touch
Completely.
and
Completely.
rude. She does not understand like that she is one of many human beings. No one else is human to her. They
Oh
are
my
staff and
God.
they are, you know, yeah, everyone is staff. Her friends are staff. Like
You're
everyone
so
owes her
right.
something.
And I wrote the
Ick.
same thing. I wrote, show some humility. Show some humility, which is essentially what you just said. She thinks she's better than everyone. And humility is, I'm no better and no worse than anybody else. Again, I asterisk that because you better fucking believe I think I'm better than fucking Trump and Stephen fucking Miller and all of the shitbags that they hang out with. I do believe that they are morally bankrupt, disgusting criminals, and you can put that on my fucking epitaph. You can tattoo that on my fucking back. Um, that's how like strongly I feel about it. Is it okay that I got political for a minute? Okay, good. That's what
Of
I thought.
course. Oh my God, of course. I'm just in my head thinking like it's so that these are the moments where I have such a hard time reconciling like my value system with like my um primal
Mhm,
response to
mhm.
some horrible people on this planet. Like I know that I like myself better when I help anyone who is in need.
Yes.
You know, if someone is reaching out a hand, you grab it. But then you just put the image of Trump in my head, and I was like, if he reached out his tiny hand, would I? And I think I couldn't live with myself if I didn't, but I'd be like real mad about
I
it.
could, yeah.
So,
I
anyways,
could
that's where
live
I
with
was in my
myself.
head just then.
Dare I say I would want a fucking
Mhm.
parade. I'm all Joan of Arc V.2. Just kidding. Oh, no, not V.2, 1.0, 2.0.
Here we
Yeah,
go
see?
again.
Oh my God. Oh my
2.0.
God. I mean,
Oh my
my
God.
white husband last night, while watching that scene, unprompted by me completely, said, that is some privileged white nonsense. And I had a lot of pride. I beamed with pride when I heard him say that because it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And when they're done fly fishing in the waders, not the waders, in the waders, Heather is walking like a toddler with a shit-filled diaper. So, and then all I wrote really about rafting was that they weren't wearing helmets, and it really stressed me the fuck out. It really stressed me the fuck out to
Uh,
not wear helmets while whitewater rafting.
it seemed irresponsible. I'm sure they signed a waiver, but like, you know, especially because on so many of these trips, like Tamara flipped in an ATV and like necks almost broke. I'm like, don't you want to, like, your track record would indicate that it's
Yeah.
possible for you to have a terrible
I
accident. So,
mean,
anyways, I noticed that, but then I just, again, I was just like, oh, ball
oh my
comedy,
God. I
really,
know. I
ladies?
know.
Like, who gives a shit? Enjoy the fucking. It's beautiful. Like, I don't know. It's just like not. Again, if they were smarter or funnier, that would have been a hilarious, fun segment to watch. But just watching a bunch of women go like, ew, it was purple. I think he was
Oh my
cold. I
God. It
was
was
like,
so gross. I'm so jaded, or maybe I'm just so
days.
realistic. I don't know. But I was so jaded that I looked at Josh and I was like, do you think he knows? And he's just enjoying it? Because that could definitely be something that a toxic, gross man would think. I don't know how this Kevin is. I do know that just the outward appearance of him did not instill fear for my life like the other people we've seen in the Montana trip. But
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because on a class trip in like seventh grade or something, we went river rafting and I'll never forget, our guide Landon had the same kind of shorts and that little mesh pocket was just like out of elastic or
oh,
something. It never occurred to any of us that like he would have done that intentionally. I think it must have just been a thing of like he didn't realize the elastic was gone. And of course, we were in seventh grade, so we really did like giggle and point and talk about it for days after. We couldn't believe it. What was that thing? Um,
ew.
so I don't know if it's like a river rafter
Oh my God,
guide
maybe.
thing or if everyone's a pervert who does
Yeah,
river rafting
yeah.
trips. Anyways,
Uh, the next very jarring thing that happened to everyone who watched this episode, I think, is that everyone saw Jenn. Okay, so they're done with their mutual activities. They go back to the saloon for uh, dinner, or yeah, for dinner, and they're ordering their cocktails from the bar, and Jenn orders a Malibu rum and fucking Red Bull. And I wondered if, yeah, I'm going to do a Malibu and Red Bull, or a Red Bull and Malibu. I was like, is this the first time that this string of words has been said together? Because on what earth? First of all, I find Red Bull to be inherently it tastes like penna fucking cyllin to me. I find it disgusting.
and it
Ugh.
smells. If anyone drinks it, I can smell their breath from like a mile
Blah,
away.
blah, blah.
Ugh. And you know, I have like an association with it because so many recovering addicts I know drink Red Bull like fucking crazy. Because if you drink enough of it, it's cocaine.
True.
And so that smell also just
Oh my God.
reminds me of being around,
Ugh, and
you know,
sugar-free Red Bull.
whatever.
Disgusting.
Totally. And Malibu, also like the
Malibu, dude.
grossest
I used to drink Malibu and Diet Coke when I
alcohol.
like first started drinking. And I really wasn't like
Hmm.
a big drinker at all in my late teens and early 20s. But when I did finally start like, you know, going out, I remember I would order oh my God, fucking Midori sours, or I would order a Malibu rum and Diet Coke. because it tasted like suntan lotion.
Yeah.
But with Red Bull, oh God, come on. So,
I can't even imagine. Like my brain will not even go down the road of like, what would that taste like? Because I think I'll
oh
just
yeah,
throw up.
grody, grody. So then we come to uh, the volcano,
Peach and pit. Oh,
the dinner. Yeah, Peach and Pit, exactly. Peach and Pit. Um, and this was when we definitely there's lots of therapy talk to be had around this. So they're all around at dinner. Gina has the idea that because they're leaving the next morning, Gina wants to end the trip with something that she and her family does, which is talk about at dinner every night. They talk about the peach and the pit of their day. Not a bad idea. I kind of like that. We do that every once in a while, but
I
yeah,
love that.
I think that's great. Um,
Yeah, it's a good way to
yeah,
like ground yourself and just be like, what did happen today and how did I feel about it? Because then you're reminded that like good things happen and bad things happened, and nothing has to exist in isolation. Like there's always a peach somewhere and there's always a
absolutely,
pit somewhere.
absolutely. But I was, and I believe I was, and I'm not even trying to be like funny or dramatic. When Heather, fine, I don't believe for a second that her peach was shoveling shit. I was so offended by the words that came out of her mouth. What in the fucking Bezos was she talking about when she said, we all have our place in the world? No, we fucking don't, Heather. We are in this place because there are structures that exist that were put in place by capitalism and colonizers. Full fucking stop. Yes, there's a much more nuanced way to say this and a much more nuanced conversation to be had. But in that moment, like, it was so fucking foul. And she really thought she was saying something there. She really thought she was dropping some, I don't know. I was about to like pull out the name Marianne Williamson or Deepak Chopra, and they're both problematic. And so I can't
No, I
like
thought
even reference them. But yeah,
to me, I thought she was presenting it like it was a sermon, as if we were all going to learn a lesson at the end, except the only lesson I learned is that she is a racist, classist, misogynistic, uh, just detached cunt,
completely.
you know?
No,
Sorry.
please. I love it. I love it. And and the fact that she admitted, and everyone's asking, and this goes back to last week's episode, the beginning of last week's episode, the women are asking, why wouldn't your pit be when you and Taylor got into a heated argument about your IMDb page? And the fact that she said, well, I didn't want to go back there. I didn't want to go back to that fight, like, just shows you the control and she's not dealing. And the way her not dealing comes out is repellent and repugnant. And again, I think I said it on one of our episodes back a few. I don't ever see her with other friends other than the women that she's shooting with. I usually just see her in photos with Terry or her children, and um, it's I don't want what she has. I don't want what she has. There we go. Yeah,
No, but it was interesting and educational for me to watch this segment, this whole pit segment, because she is a bad actress. So I feel like I can identify when she's not telling the truth.
totally.
See joint scene. But in this moment, when she was saying she felt left out, like you didn't let me in the room, I believed that she believed what she was saying. And that is chilling because then they show footage. She was in the room. And Tamara and Shannon are like, we gave her what she asked for. She asked for a flat, like, what is happening? But Heather had so convinced herself that is what happened. Yeah, that's what happened. I was left
Oh,
out. And,
totally.
it was just so, and that weird, creepy thing she said about like, I feel fine with my separate relationships with Tamara and Shannon are intact. But now that they're friends, where does that leave me? It's like, what do you
Oh,
mean? What is this
right,
chessboard you're trying to
right.
organize here? I, it was so upsetting to me. It was just sickening, mostly because she believed what she was saying and expected everyone else to, because usually the people she talks to are on her payroll. So
Oh,
of
that is a
course they
great point.
agree with
Right.
whatever.
And then when she revisits that, when she's explaining to everyone why she was so triggered by, it was just her, she was triggered by, she had a whole story made up about why Taylor should have like licked her asshole about how she helped, how she showed up to help. And she said things along the lines of, I have a lot going on, as we all do. My kids are going off to school. A lot of people's do. I had a garage full of stuff. I was all, bitch, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I wrote
You
down
had
rich person busy
one
monologue. I was
fucking
like, this isn't
100%.
busy.
Like, get fucking real.
And then she's a
Completely.
martyr. She's a martyr because she came over. It reminded me of my friend Drew Jogi did this character at the Groundlings who was just so put out. She's like, well, I had to go to the store. I had to get in the car. I had to start the car. I had to drive the car. I had to park the car. I had to open the door. I had to turn off the car. I had to close the car door. It's just like everything, something that is so simple to a personality type like Heather's seems just like insurmountable, and how we should all applaud her for even like being able to show up. She has a disorganized garage. How
Oh
are you
my
even
God,
here
Heather,
right
I'm
now?
so
Oh my
sorry you
God.
have an unorganized garage and someone going to get your fucking Starbucks for you. She sucks.
And your staff organizing your
Exactly.
garage while you're
She's
away.
so
Like,
lame,
shut
dude.
up.
She's so
You
lame.
don't.
And again, like if having friendships is transactional, I don't fucking want it. I feel so good when I'm able to help someone that I care about. I feel good because of it. It makes me feel good to be of service to friends and family. I really, that it feels good. I don't give a flying fuck if I get anything back in return. And if people are doing things and they expect something in return, that's something you got to fucking figure out because it's not okay. It is not okay.
Yeah.
No, no.
But she doesn't have to figure it out because she's just rich and people are disposable to her. So she'll just move on to people who she can buy, because it seems like her relationship with all of these women is essentially over in current
Yeah,
times. So it seems like they called her out on her bullshit and she was like, "Oh, I don't do that. So I'm just going to
completely.
move on to other
Completely.
people." I don't know. I was
Yes,
going to ask you
please.
a question. When Heather got up and walked away for no reason and then came and sat down, and Shannon, I thought, did a lovely job saying, "I'm getting angrier. I'm sitting here and getting angrier thinking about what you said is your pit." And Heather jumped right on it and goes, "You
Completely.
misunderstood." And I was like, is that gaslighting? Sometimes I lose track of the definition of gaslighting. Is that
Hmm.
gaslighting or controlling? Like, what was that? I certainly had a big reaction where I was like,
It's
"Oh, fuck you.
I
You need to listen before you just say you
I think that
misunderstood. You need
I
to."
think your
Ugh.
reaction came from the fact that she was completely invalidating anything Shannon was saying. Shannon was explaining the reaction she was having to the words that came out of Heather's mouth, to which were preceded by thoughts that Heather was having. These thoughts are not fucking cool. And if I share something with someone, that someone has every right to tell me how they feel about the words I shared. My job as someone who is trying to be self aware and loving to the people in my life and wanting to foster open relationships with them, and so I want them to feel safe when they share things with me, is to at least say, I hear what you're saying, or, I have to think about that, you know, at a bare minimum. So I think for gaslighting, it would be more like, I think it could go into gaslighting territory. I think gaslighting is a little bit more extreme than just that. But gaslighting
Yeah.
definitely,
I guess
it starts
gaslighting,
with invalidation.
they also, right. And then they add a
Exactly,
narrative, which isn't the
exactly,
truth.
exactly.
So, yeah. Okay. So this was just her just being, yeah, just being a bitch. Thank you
No,
for clarifying that. And it does make sense because it's the difference between a you statement and an
totally.
I statement, which is like the first thing you learn in therapy, which is like you misunderstood, as opposed to I'm unclear where you're coming from. Can you help me
Right.
understand? Like it's the same general idea, but like you just shut
Completely.
someone down
Completely.
saying you misunderstood.
And
Anyways,
yeah,
okay.
and she, Gina was again bringing up what she was unhappy with Heather about and how she felt about Heather's behavior, and Heather didn't say sorry. And listen, I can appreciate her, even though she's sharing it she's communicating her feelings in a very imperfect way. I can appreciate feeling threatened by friends seeming to shut me out. I can appreciate having those insecurities come up. But the fact that she's not getting curious about them, or the fact that she's putting it's their problem that she's feeling like that versus how she's reacting, that lack of curiosity is really toxic. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, she never looks at
Never.
herself. There's an acronym in 12-step programs, JADE, which is, when someone addresses you with a concern or an emotion, you try to circle wide of justifying, getting angry, being defensive, and explaining.
Oh,
Like, yeah, which is really
so
fucking
hard.
hard, but it's like, it's the natural reaction to be like, you misunderstood,
Right,
fuck you,
right.
you're wrong. It's like, because often the intention is not to have harmed the other person, but if they're coming to you to have a discussion about how they are hurt, launching immediately into defensive justification with an angry attitude to explain yourself is a dead end. There's no forward motion, there's no progress. You'll just be in the same
Completely,
spot forever.
completely. Um, I'm going to edit out this part for the podcast, but how are you feeling? It's 10 minutes till 10:20. You
I'm fine
sure?
not to go.
Okay.
Yes, 100%. I made the decision at
Okay.
5:30 this morning when I
Okay,
hadn't
great.
fallen asleep yet. I
Okay,
was like, I
great.
can't.
Uh, so then we find ourselves back in Orange County. They've left Montana. They're back in Orange County. And we have Eddie, who is Tamara's husband. Eddie and Tamara are hiking. And this, yes.
That is after we see Gina do a peanut butter
Oh,
sandwich
right.
act. Like that was like vaudeville style. I'm like, what is she
Making the peanut butter
doing?
sandwiches.
It was so out of control, but it was out of control. Like I've made multiple peanut butter sandwiches before. It's never been like, I don't know what was going on. The peanut butter was like barely on the bread and I don't know what was happening, but
It might be in her
yeah,
muscle
yeah.
memory to make peanut butter sandwiches that way, because that might be how she does it in the morning when she's rushed trying to get 6 kids out the door.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and she was saying to herself, like,
Oh my
peanut butter,
God.
peanut
Yeah.
butter, peanut
Yeah.
butter, peanut
Yeah.
butter. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
Um,
Anyways, it made me laugh. That genuinely made me laugh, as opposed to like the Tamara Shannon forced antics. That moment, I was like, oh my God, this is a very real and ridiculous slice of life, and I love it.
yes, it was. Absolutely. Uh, they,
And sorry, then we go to
yeah.
Tamara and Eddie's, as I wrote, Tamara and Eddie's dumb hike
Yeah. I mean, the
figures.
only thing I gleaned from this little episode is that Tamara smirked when she told Eddie about Ryan saying that he wanted to fuck her. And but then Eddie shares that um, he had heard about Ryan's reputation too. He had heard at a party that mhm,
Specifically about Ryan going
married
after
women.
married women, and he was warned, watch your wife. That was a little yeah, that
Yeah,
was
and
quite
that
something.
that also made me think, like, what is it? Okay, so I mean, okay, what brought me to slaw was my need for validation from the men I was dating, and
That's
Sex and Love
Sex and
Addicts
Love Addicts
Anonymous.
Anonymous, 12
Yes,
at 12-step program for, mostly
it's
it's
a
like a
relationship
relationship
program,
program.
right? Intimacy.
Intimacy. Yeah.
Again, more people than not in the meetings I went to, at least, were struggling much more with relationship issues than they were with, like, not being able to get away from your computer because you're watching porn, which definitely happens. Like, people definitely have those.
And there is a separate program for that as well. I think there's an essay, just sex
Oh,
addiction,
that's right.
for people who are primarily, you know, harming themselves, hurting themselves with, you know, dangerous or like over too
Complete.
much
Yeah.
sex or
And
masturbation.
like learning about like that need for external validation. Um, I would I would feel like I like the odds are pretty much good that he's doing that for validation, and the fact that he's doing it with specifically, you know, with women who are married. What kind of high is he getting from like, yeah, I made her cheat on her husband. I must be something else. Like, yeah, you're something else, dude. You're something else.
Well, and honestly, like I wouldn't necessarily put it past Tamara um to do that, you know? Because clearly she's told this story enough times that he walked into the gym and pointed her out and said, I'm gonna fuck her, that it's becoming like, it seems like it's a point of pride for her, which is like a
Yeah.
slippery slope into like, if you need to feel sexy and desired, and that is in a moment where it's like fading or out of focus in your long-term relationship. I don't know if Tamara
Oof.
would
Yeah.
not do that, because it would hurt Jenn and it would make her feel good. And I feel like those two things are like a
Hmm.
high for Tamara. Anyways, who
God, I
knows?
wonder if she would. I mean, yeah, that's a good question. She's she's got,
I don't
you
know.
know, obviously Tamara has a lot of trauma that plays out in the way she behaves in the world. But yeah, it definitely seemed like that smirk at the beginning of that scene. To me, that conveyed like a little bit of, it was like wrapped up in, can you believe that? Wrapping paper, but in the box was, I'm so hot. Don't forget I'm so hot, Eddie.
Mhm.
Gross. Uh, for me, the most boring scene we didn't need was Annabelle's photo shoot. That was the first time I noticed that
Yep.
Emily wasn't even in the episode, except for when she triggered me at the beginning with her Cali York sweatshirt. Um,
Yep. I wrote Emily's daughter's modeling gig. Who
oh, and
cares?
then
Two back to back
exactly.
who
I
cares
don't know
scenes.
why she was taking off her 10-year-old shoes. And I feel like um, that can only lead to behavior that is not going to help her, Annabelle later. Um, and I say this as someone that has to remind myself not to do things for my 7-year-old that I know that he can do. Anyway, uh, the next scene is we are at Jen's house. She and her boyfriend Ryan are having their post Montana trip wrap up conversation, and the irony of Jenn holding a mug that said, "Be honest."
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh,
The
wow.
unbridled
Wow.
irony.
I mean, maybe she was trying to
Oh my
signal
God.
to Ryan, you know, like sublimity, be like, can you do this? Be honest. Read the cup. Do
You
that.
are a better person than
But
I for
he's
thinking that she's smart enough
incapable.
to do that.
I think she just might be desperate. I mean, to me, this scene
Oh
was
my
just
God.
sad. Like, he lies so poorly. She obviously knows he's lying, but she's not ready to leave. So to me, I'm like, I just don't need to see this, because it's
It was
just
so
fucking
depressing.
depressing. Because his eyes got all wide and he was like, whoa, huh, and he didn't blink, you know, while he was denying all this shit. And then he
Oh
brought
my
up the
God.
dick pics again. And I was like, oh
God.
my God, you're fucking
Right.
reckless, dude. You are
It was
reckless.
also so
Ugh.
uncomfortable to see her say without any reservations or questioning why this was a good idea, but because Tamara and this other woman, Heather Amin or Amin, um, they were saying so many things to Jenn about Ryan that instead of questioning, oh no, they were making her question her relationship. And so instead of questioning her relationship more, she ditches her girlfriends. She left. She,
Wait, you mean
yeah,
Jen?
Jenn pulled back from her friendships with Heather and Tamara because Heather and Tamara were putting ideas in Jen's head about Ryan that were not favorable. So she left. And she said it in her confessional like, There was nothing wrong with that. And I was like, that's that. It was just, listen, if it's something like, yeah, go ahead.
Wait, but not Tamara, just
I,
Heather, right? Because I thought she was struggling with like how she couldn't believe that Tamara was doing this
yeah,
to her, and it's making her question Tamara's motives.
no,
Unless I missed
I
something,
think
which
she
I
did.
very
I
well
think
could
she
have.
does too. I think she questions Tamara's motives. And the way I interpreted it in her confessional was that, in Jenn's confessional, was that she was saying, I pulled back from my friendship with Tamara and Jenn, or Tamara and Heather A, because what they were saying to me about Ryan was making me question my relationship. And I think she has every right to also say, I mean, there's no reason for her not to think that Heather was doing that. Tamra, there's no reason for her to think that Tamra wasn't saying things to get a reaction and be a, like, she had ulterior motives in saying it. She really probably liked communicating that information to her because it was drama
Oh,
and
for sure.
salaciousness. And I don't know that it was coming from a pure place of just being concerned about her friend Jenn. Anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, it's just so clear that Jen knows what's going on and is choosing to stay in this relationship. And that's where I'm just like, oh, this is going to be a
I
fucking
mean,
slog because it's just a bummer. He
he
sucks. He's like
sucks.
not cute. He's not fun. Like, there's nothing
Ooh,
redeemable about him to
gross.
be like, yeah, I get why she stays with that cheater because he's so fucking
He's
hot. Like, he's nothing.
he
He's
was wearing
nothing.
fucking
He's so boring.
like uh like mid blue wash denim fucking jorts. Now, if someone wants to make a pair of cutoffs, like my husband has cutoffs that are made out of old black jeans, he'll wear them in the river if we ever go like inner tubing, or, if it's hot, but like he would never wear a jort the way that Ryan was wearing a jort. Now, if that doesn't stop your boner for someone, I don't know what the fuck does. That coupled with his problematic behavior is like fucking gross, dude. So,
Yeah, I would not miss either of them if
I
they did not
not at
return for the
all.
rest of the season. I know they will, but I just am like, I
Not at
don't
all.
enjoy you guys. And speaking of clothes, real quick, she was wearing like leopard leggings and then this like exaggerated puffed shoulder denim tailored bolero jacket. Like I was just so confused because that was an outfit that she chose. And the day would never come when I would put soft leggings with a cropped, hard
Yeah.
bolero denim puff sleeve jacket. It was just, I could not figure it
Yeah.
out.
I mean, I can't say I would never, but the way she had it going on and those particular items, yes. It was giving,
It just like, she was like having a cozy
yeah.
Sunday morning, but like hard
Yeah,
denim
yeah.
jacket
It
doesn't
really
lend
it
itself to
gave
much.
like
Anyways.
South Coast Plaza mall kiosk fashion,
Yep.
truly.
100%.
And then we're at the last scene of the episode, which is Gina and Travis's conversation about Gina's trip with the girls to Montana. And again, this was another poignant conversation that we were privy to. And on face value, I think that it's I think that both things that they said had a lot of, what word am I looking for? Creed? No. Uh, Validity? Credence?
Credence.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Gina tells Travis that she's unhappy with Heather. Um, and I think Gina had a really good point about Heather focusing on Tamra and Tamara's behavior because she was feeling threatened by Shannon versus really thinking that Tamara's behavior was out of control. Does that make sense?
It does. I don't remember that part of their conversation because that's when I started having little cartoon hearts in my eyes when
Oh,
Travis was
Yeah.
listening, and then he made, the joke of like, the rug's not going anywhere.
Oh
I'm
my
too
God.
fat.
Yeah.
And then
That was
in this
adorable.
confessional, he's like, lean on my
I
shoulders. I
know,
got broad
that was
shoulders. Let's
so
go. I
sweet.
was
It's
like,
like, what are they there
oh,
for if not for this? Um,
I know. He's so mellow. And that's talk about authentic. Like, he's not putting any sauce on it. It's
yeah.
pretty plain,
Yeah,
but I
I
loved
agree.
it.
I agree. I really thought that their conversation was super honest. I believed both of them. It seemed easy breezy and natural. Like communicating in this way was not foreign to them. It didn't seem like anything was rehearsed at all. And I,
Mm-mm. And the house was a mess. She's like, oh, the table's a
oh my
fucking
God,
mess. Like,
yeah,
she just, but she has 100 kids. Like,
exactly.
yeah.
And I I really hope that Gina is finally hitting a bottom as far as her coming to like as far as her resigning to the fact that she does need to earnestly deal with her marriage ending, how it ended, and her feelings around it. They're not going to go away. It's
But I don't think this is where I don't think she's
yeah,
avoiding it. I get my hackles up about this stuff because it's like, again, I've never been married or divorced, but I've sat through lots of divorces with people and it's traumatic and it takes
yeah,
forever. And Gina has had this man in her life from the day she married him through the day he broke in and
oh my
beat the
God,
shit out of her to today where she's trying to get his felonies expunged so he can help
right,
with the children. Like she hasn't had a break from him. Like my sister's divorce, she's still working through parts of it and they communicate through a Google calendar and lawyers.
mm,
That's it. And she's still working through it. I think, I don't know. Like I guess maybe it's also just a reaction to Heather being like, you need to deal with this. It's like, well, let's see you get divorced,
dude.
Heather. Let's see
Oh
what happens to
my
you when your
God.
identity of your perfect family
Oh my
fucking falls
God.
apart. Like it is what Gina said. Like everything that you thought your future would be is erased in a moment. And what your future is now is really fucking hard. Spending days in court with mediators trying to get your ex-husband's record fixed after he beat the shit out of you. Like it's just so, of course she hasn't
That is
worked
such
through
a
it
good
yet.
point, Margie.
I
You're
think
absolutely
it's
right.
you have to it's like I think it's that like your body's self-defense mechanism. Again, like we went through traumas through
Mm-hmm.
our childhoods and I didn't start to deal with them until my life started imploding in my
Mm-hmm.
20s. If someone did say in high school, my acting teacher pulled me aside and was like, how are you doing at home with your parents' divorce? And I was like, fine, fuck you. And like I, she was trying and it would have been great if I had been able, but I couldn't. I had to move on with my fucking life. I had to graduate. I had to go to college. I had to get an adult life set up so I didn't have to deal with these assholes. So I just feel like Gina has been in this, you know, trying to figure out what her life is as a divorced woman from a really troubled
Yeah.
man who she has to interact with
That's such a good
regularly.
point. That's such a good point. And you're right. It's no one's business what timeline she's on. She's talking about it. She's aware of it. You're absolutely right, Margie. You're absolutely right.
But I also think you're right. I do think we are watching her
Mm-hmm.
hit the bottom. And I think that's hopeful. And I think Heather helped get her there because Heather is another controlling relationship Gina is in, where someone is telling her how to feel and what to do. And Gina was like, I loved at the dinner when Gina said something like, fuck you, don't say that. I'm a real person, because Heather always just talks to people like they're two-dimensional caricatures of a divorcee and a poor woman
Oh,
so
my back hurts from
anyways.
shoveling horse shit without a Chanel shovel. Now I can really understand the plight of other people. Really? That's what it took?
she
Fuck.
she, she didn't even say plight. She said everyone
Right.
has their place, as if some of us were born to shovel
Oh,
shit and some of us were born to
oh.
buy jewels and mansions. It's like that is not That's not right.
Man. I don't go on Twitter anymore, but I really hope that she was roasted. I hope she was charred beyond all recognition after she said all that bullshit. So
I did appreciate the editing in that moment when like the music slowed down and then dropped out as she kept talking. They were like, "What?"
yeah.
It was like the subtle version of a record scratch because everyone was like, "Nope,
Yeah.
there's no way to frame this in a positive light. You are just
Producers
awful."
really, I'm glad. It's on tape, dude. It's on tape. It's on tape.
Hmm.
And then they show previews for next week, and again, it just feels like Orange County is really showing up, and I guess that's because of Tamara. As triggering and toxic as Tamara is, it is giving us exciting TV that feeds that need in me to rubberneck, and however toxic and fucked that is for me, but
I agree.
it's what we
I
signed up
do
for,
enjoy watching
watching these
her
shows. Yeah.
in that in the coming scenes. Um, I am enjoying watching Tamara like get the rust off because in the scene they show where she throws a napkin in Jen's face, great, exquisite, classic Beverly Hills. But then she storms away and she's like, should you should leave your boyfriend, you bitch." It was like, what? What is that? You
Oh
didn't
my
you didn't
god. Oh
say
my
anything and you
god.
didn't say it right, and it wasn't it. Your energy does not match your words. But to me, I was just like, oh, she's just getting warmed back into
Yeah.
things, and the napkin was great, and then she sort of backslid, and she's finding her footing again, and I
And
think
maybe
it's great.
maybe it shows high self-esteem on her part that she can do this without letting the noise of the audience or Bravo fans like get her down. I don't know if she's ever talked about how it feels to get the criticism she gets, or if she knows about it, or maybe she just doesn't give. Maybe she just it's not important to her to be a better person.
That's no, I wish she would talk about that on the show. That's really interesting because she talked about being humbled. She got
Yep.
fucking fired. She started a podcast with the most boring woman on the West Coast and somehow worked her way back into being the central character of her returning season. Like, that is a kind of amazing riches to rags to riches
Yeah.
stories. So, but she'll never talk about it. Again, like you said, she has no awareness. So she just,
At,
yeah, but she's doing her job. She's
completely as
delivering,
the
so
as the I don't know
I'll
if we
take
can
it.
credit this to millennials or to Gen Z, but Tamara understands the assignment. So
That's right.
that brings us to the end. Margie, tell me tell me about how it's been since the last time we chatted. Is there anything that's going on? What are your respective peaches and pits right now?
I think I've talked about this before, but I'm really trying to do that thing of making a list with two columns, things I can control and things I can't control. Because the pit is the industry
Mm,
continues to implode. It's having very real life consequences at this point. It's sad and it's scary. And the timing is not in my control. So, me worrying about it, worrying about other people, worrying about myself, is not a useful way to spend my hours. That is not, I'm not contributing or being productive when I'm spiraling about that shit. So, um, and then the peach is I'm helping some new writers with um, two separate entities with scripts that they're pilot
mm,
scripts they're writing,
mm.
and I'm loving it. They're like it's wonderful to work with them. They're like so energized and funny and creative, and it reminds me, I think, why my heart is so broken with the industry being on pause, if you will, indefinitely, is that I'm reminded in these moments of like working with people on writing projects, like how much I fucking love what I do. And it's been so long since I've gotten to do it. And I'm getting sad, but I'm just getting a new avenue to do it in. So when I focus on that, it's a peach, you know? And that's something I never would have done had the strike not happened, you know? I didn't have time or make time to consider that that would be something I could be of service doing.
That's so kind.
That was a
No, it
long
wasn't. No, it
monologue.
wasn't. It was perfect, especially when we like compare it to what Heather was saying about helping Taylor. Like Heather has skills that Taylor doesn't have yet, maybe because benefit of the doubt for Heather's career. It's like she hasn't done as okay. We can say that it's fair that Taylor hasn't been on sets as many times as Heather has, acting sets, but you are giving because helping other people makes you feel good, you know? And Heather does it to be transactional. So it's not a long monologue, friend. It is a testament to your generous heart. And Heather Dubrow could learn a lot
Thanks
from
for
you.
saying that. I mean, I just look forward to the day. I had the thought, I'm like, I can't wait for hopefully weeks, maybe months from now to look back on this episode and be like, oh, remember when those complicated, hard days of strikes and all that stuff. There, because at some point this will be a part of my history. In the present, it's just super uncomfortable. So
Do
what are you
you
gonna do? Not in my
is
control.
SAG-AFTRA going on
Whatever.
strike going to I feel like that will help, but I could be completely wrong.
I mean, I have had to put down my phone because the headlines
They
are all
are.
over the place. There's some people who think that it will motivate quicker resolution for both unions. There are some people who think that the studios will settle with the actors or come to an agreement with the actors. And just there was a headline, I don't remember which fucking industry rag it was in yesterday, but it said like studios intend to starve
Oh
the
my God.
writers through the fall until they break and and acquiesce. And they laid out a really great case as to why that can and might happen. So but again, it's like I don't know, it could end tonight, you know? It won't, but it could, you know?
Yeah,
It's yeah.
I read an article that alluded to that. I think I read it in Deadline, but yeah, I cannot.
Well, they brought in a federal mediator to try and fucking resolve this, but the studios just will not. They still haven't returned to the table with the writers. So the federal mediator is just trying to the whole and the whole city is suffering. It's just like it's really unnecessarily tragic, especially coming off of COVID. Maybe it's like PTSD from like something that's completely out of our control that I have no idea when it will end. And, you know, it's sad. The
It's
consequences are
disgusting.
sad.
I don't know. I, I don't know how someone like Bezos or Musk or these studio heads. I don't know how they can sleep at night. Well, I mean, they're fucking frette sheets, I guess, in their gated houses. I
It's like Heather Dubrow shoveling shit. It never occurred to her before that moment that other people do work. And the only reason that people do work in her mind and in probably these studio heads' minds is to facilitate their privileged lifestyle. So they should be quiet and just shovel their shit. What's the problem? You know, everyone
God,
has
I
their
mean,
place in
I
the
just
world,
think about
according to
people losing
Heather.
their fucking health insurance, and I I want to stab eyes out over it. Uh,
Yeah.
it makes me. It's just it's vile. It's low. It's
It makes the end game more important than
mhm.
ever, though, just to be like, there is a human value system that um, people are willing to really suffer to have it acknowledged and compensated. Like, pay your
Dude,
workers. It's
pay
just
your
that.
fucking workers. Tip your fucking baristas. Like Say please and thank you at the McDonald's fucking drive-through. Like, don't be a fucking dick. Money does not make you a fucking moral, kind person. Think about other people's situations. Like, make it a part of your daily fucking practice. You know?
They just
God
don't.
damn.
They just don't.
Oh, it's fucking infuriating. And I can't do shit about it. And I don't like that.
Same. I'm really, on a daily basis, I'm deeply uncomfortable with it. But it remains in the things I
You're
can't
right.
control column. So I just have to keep picking things to do off the things I
I
can control
mean,
column.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Peach in the pit.
My pit is that there are too many people close to me right now that are dealing with like real, literal life and death situations right now. A man that I've like considered to be my uncle, a man that my niece, her middle name um, is his last name as tribute to him. One of the like the first man after my dad left my life, like the first man who made me think twice about maybe not all men are terrible, scary people. Um, his he has a debilitating disease and he will leave this mortal coil imminently. And I'm sad about it. His immediate family is clearly gutted. Anyone who knows him is gutted. It's not fucking fair. Um, I don't know why terrible, terrible, terrible men walk the earth, and this man who deserves immortality is uh, is dying. Like it's not it's so heartbreaking and so tragic. And I'll admit, like I've been like kind of with my I don't want to deal. Um, uh, I don't even know if I should be sharing these things in detail because it's not my stuff to share. Trying to be vague, but I've got some uh, you know, someone very close to Josh has some very scary health things going on right now. One of my, two two of my dear friends are in a very similar situation, and my heart breaks for the people in my life that I love who are going through really hard, real life things right now. And I can't control any of the outcomes. And it's terrible when I feel like I can't make something okay for someone. And like the best I can do is show up with like love and support and an ear and um, being present for their sadness and their fear and their pain. And it puts everything in perspective. Obviously, it puts everything in fucking perspective. And I don't, yeah, I don't like it. And it makes me, and because I don't like it, and because it makes me so sad, and because anger feels more powerful and more like a more familiar way for me to deal with situations like that, it's easier for me to get mad about people that I think are scumbags, seemingly living without consequence, where people who deserve everything aren't. And one of my biggest triggers is things not being fair. And when life is not fair like this, I, I, I feel angry. I feel untethered, and I feel mostly just fucking really angry, just really fucking angry. I just don't, I don't understand, but it's not for me to understand, I guess. Um,
I mean, you're literally like walking through a grief cycle in this conversation. It puts a
mm,
lump in my throat because
it is, it's
uh,
sad. And this year has been really hard so far. Really, really, really
I know it
hard
has
in our
lots of
household
loss.
household. And um, uh, I can't imagine. And um, it makes me grateful for every day that I have with the people that I love, where we're safe and we're healthy and we're fed and we're clothed and we're housed and we have, there's nothing I want. I'm more aware than ever that every day is fucking precious, like every day is fucking precious. And and aging is a privilege and health is a privilege. It really is. It really is. And my peach is uh, this is always a peach. I don't know right now what I would be doing without this podcast. I get to see you every week. It feels like a creative outlet. I really suffer without creative outlets, and I also feel very I there's resistance to me starting creative projects or being creative just on my own. I think because it feels intimidating. It feels really scary and intimidating for me to sit down and write and all that stuff. And so this is definitely a peach. Um, uh, I another peach is, I'm turning 51 on Sunday, and
I know.
I aging is a
Aging is a
fucking
privilege. It's a
privilege,
birthday,
and hair dye
baby.
covers up the grays. And so this week, I am just, I'm touched by my loved ones asking me, like, what are you doing? And I, I don't, I don't really have like a concrete plan. I don't know. All I know is that I am so grateful to be able to have a birthday. Uh, you know, universe willing, God willing, God's willing. I'm very grateful that I get to have one. I'm grateful for this podcast. I'm grateful for the health of my family. I'm grateful that I have people that I love and who love me. And this week has really showed me a lot of that. So that is my big, hairy, fuzzy, ripe peach. Oh,
I love
Margie,
that.
I love
That's
you. I love
gorgeous. I
you.
know. I love you so much. I'm so sorry that this is like a really
Thank
hard
you. It's just
season.
really like, it's just like, man. And I think too, I think part of, having a foot firmly planted in middle age is, um, my mortality is real. The mortality of the people that I love is real. Um, Serious illnesses are real. I'm not saying that these things don't happen when you're not middle aged, when you're younger, but I know in my 20s and my 30s and maybe even into my 40s, like it seemed abstract, and it's no longer abstract. Like 2023 has really shown me like shit is not fucking abstract, it's real. And these are the parts of life that will probably be things that I experience more frequently than not, because I'm aging. Most of the people in my life are, that aren't the children, are like, we're getting to that place. Like there's been scary fucking shit this year, and it puts everything in perspective. Anyway, I'm rambling. So,
You're not. I mean, as part of it's one of the lovely things I learned in my death doula training, which is not to put like a positive spin on death, but just a way to reframe it, which you just did, it just brings into immediate sharp focus what matters. And suddenly you're really grounded in, I'm healthy. My loved ones under this roof right now are healthy. And that's what matters. Like, it's all this bullshit, that the housewives indulge
Totally.
us in. That's
Exactly.
distraction. You are like, the gift of death is reminding everyone who's left behind, like, what's important. And it cycles out, life picks up again, bullshit becomes important again. And, that's part of the deal. But like, yeah, I just hear you. I hear you in
Just
it.
sucks. Yeah.
And I just love you
I
so
love you
much.
so
I
much too.
know. But I'm glad that you're willing to like receive the
I
love on your
am. I am
birthday and
trying.
like,
Yeah. I'm really
yeah,
trying because
yeah.
I don't want to do anything else. It just like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be in that place and I can make that choice today. So for that I'm very grateful. Um Friend, as always, I love seeing your beautiful face and talking to your beautiful spirit, and I yeah, I just love you. I love doing this with you. It's so fun.
Likewise. And this one, we
We
really indulged
did.
ourselves. I love that I was like, I have a
I
hard out at
know.
10:15, cut to
I
two
know.
hours later.
Yeah.
But I love it. I'm glad there was a lot. Like, again, this season of Orange County is like touching on a lot of our um, issues that are
Mhm.
still tender,
Mhm.
So it's great to talk it through.
Mhm.
And I love getting to see you and chat with you. So, and I love, anyone who's enjoying a therapeutic dose. I'm so
Yes.
glad you're listening
Yes.
and
Keep
keep
coming
coming
back.
back.
If you need to get a hold of us for whatever reason, we would love to see your emails in our inbox. You can reach us at atherapeuticdose@gmail.com. You can reach us on our Instagram. I'm sorry, I've been shitty about posting when we've had new episodes go up. It's really like such a slog. uh, you're right.
It's all new.
So,
We're just
but
figuring out. Yeah,
if
it's all
you
new.
don't want to rely on Instagram to tell you when our new episodes come out, if you subscribe/follow the podcast, we are available wherever you can find your podcasts. And if you subscribe, then it'll just show up, as you know. If you want to rate and review, that'd be amazing too. Bottom line, we hope you're enjoying yourselves as much as we are. Yeah.
Everybody, yeah, take care of yourselves and we will see you, hear you,
Yeah,
whatever.
we'll
Talk to
be
you
here.
next
We'll
week.
be here for you next week. Yes.
We'll be here for
For
another
another
therapeutic
therapeutic dose. Take
dose.
good care of yourselves this week, everyone, and bye.
Ramona and Margee are obviously not doctors and do not provide medical advice. Their content is intended to be used for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be, should not be interpreted as, or used as a substitute for medical advice or a diagnosis of any health or fitness problem, condition, or disease, nor a recommendation for a specific test, doctor, care provider, procedure, treatment plan, product, or course of action.
My mom isn't a doctor.